it's shame busting coach Jen Bovey from www.jenbovey.com. Tonight has totally been one of those nights. I dropped my phone three times trying to get this Facebook Live going. I don't even know what's going on. And the office next to us is having a career fair, so they're like super loud. So I'm gonna hope we can get through this whole process. But what I really want to talk to you guys about, because I know many of you are highly sensitive, you're highly empathic. I get that. But what I don't get is there's a huge disconnection here. And follow me through here. When you treat other people, when you interact with other people, you can feel their worthiness, right? You can feel their heart, their soul, their reason for being. You can feel that when you interact with them, when you see them, when you read their words on the written screen, when you see them on video. You can see that fire, right? But are you seeing it for yourself? That's where the real test comes in. Sorry, there's knocking. I think for many of us, we use our empathic abilities and our sensitivities towards everyone else, and we use it for the betterment of everyone else, but we rarely turn that microscope around. We rarely turn that magnifying glass around and use it for ourselves. And we rarely recognize the strengths in ourselves, and we rarely recognize our own worth and our own power and our own right to be here. And so I just think that maybe if some of us spent some time looking internally and using that same empathy and compassion towards ourselves that we use towards the rest of the world, it would change our mindset and it would change our experience with ourselves. So when we're looking at how to develop self-love, I think compassion and empathy are two of the big skill sets that we have to learn how to interact with and apply towards ourselves. Hi, Kathy. Does that make sense? I think that I keep getting distracted by the wall behind me. I think that when we live in this world, we're taught that we need to be tough and we have to sometimes be abrasive and we have to push ourselves and we can't, sit in the ooey gooey blah. No, that's not accurate. You can still love yourself and accomplish things. I actually had this conversation with this teenager this week who is a totally overachiever, right? And we talked about, I said, what would it feel like to develop coping skills? And she very honestly looked at me and she said, well, then I might not be as driven. I might not get as much done. And I said, what if that's not accurate though? What if the deal here is that if by applying coping skills, you're actually able to get more done and you're able to be more driven, but you don't have the distractions? And she was really intrigued by that philosophy. And I think that a similar philosophy could apply to ourselves. I think so many of us shame ourselves, we beat ourselves up, we manipulate ourselves, we talk horribly to and about ourselves. We treat ourselves like we're the world's worst person, bar none. And yet we wonder why we don't feel confident in our skin, why we don't feel comfortable with ourselves, why we make that instant gagging noise when we catch ourselves, our reflection, or God forbid we see ourselves naked, right? I don't think that's serving us. And so I really want to help people discard that. My mission is to help you fall in love with yourself. I will never forget the first day I noticed it happening for me. I think I was like going to take a picture of my dog or something, because I'm a little obsessed with my dog, because she's cute. And I must not have had the camera facing outward. I had the camera facing inward. And I was like, wow, oh, I know her. Oh, I like her even. And it was just this subtle shift. And so as I started processing my new and strange response of no longer gagging or no longer being, hi, Aaliyah, no longer being like, oh, really? Turn the screen around. Stop looking at yourself. It boggled my brain, because I was just like, who is this person who looked back at me with such grace and kindness? Who is this person who has such a huge heart that loves so many people? Who is this person who cries when animals don't feel loved? I mean, I'm just going to admit it. I cried at everything. It's just my response, whatever. My daughter, who I love very much, tells people, because she's mean, that the way she judges whether a movie's good or not is if I cry. Can we imagine if we use some of those empathic abilities and those empathic skills towards ourselves? I don't think most of us are very motivated by being shamed, by being abused, by being neglected, by being ignored, by being bullied, by being manipulated. None of us feel good when we receive that treatment from others. So I really want to encourage all of us to stop treating ourselves that way. Does that make sense? I'm getting ready to launch the self-love adventure, and it's gonna be an adventure, and I'm so excited. For years, when I met my husband 8 years ago now, I remember him saying to me at one point, he was like, can you explain something to me? Because this just baffles my brain. And I'm like, maybe. And he was like, why are you so hard on yourself? And I had a very realistic answer to him. I just looked at him simply and I was like, well, because then nobody else can be as hard on me. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, see, if I'm that much harder on myself than anybody else could be, then I'm never blindsided by their criticisms, their complaints, their crap about me. And so I started that was my defense mechanism. If I could just keep myself so hard, and if I was such a bully and so mean to myself, then I could never be crushed by the weight of somebody else's not liking me, somebody else is not approving of me, somebody else's bullshit about me. I don't care today. Legitimately, I don't care. You don't have to like me. I'm good with that. You don't have to love this body that I'm in. That's okay. You don't have to love all the decisions I do in life. Great. You don't have to pay my bills either. So it kind of works out that way, right? This weekend we were in Missouri still, and we went out to lunch, I guess. And my husband had packed up my cover-up. I was wearing a tank top. It was the last clean shirt. It was not necessarily clean, but it was the last shirt I could put on. And I had a cover-up with it, and it was in the kitchen. And he was packing up stuff, and I said, do you know where my cover-up went? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, where? And he's like, it's in the suitcase in the truck. And I'm like, that's gonna be an issue. And he's like, why? And I'm like, He's like, I thought you were okay with this now. And I'm like, yeah. But I had stopped focusing on how much I loved myself and how much I was worth good things. So we're sitting in the middle of, I think it was Golden Corral or somewhere, I don't even know. And it's like 800 million degrees in there. And I've got my winterish coat on. And he looks at me and he's like, are you dying yet? And I'm like, kind of. And he's like, just take off the coat. And I looked at him, I'm like, yeah, but my PICC line is showing and I don't. And he looked at me and he's like, you know what? Here's the bottom line. You're beautiful. I love you. And if your PICC line makes people uncomfortable, then they don't have to look. And I sat there for a few minutes while he went to get food and I was like, yeah. Like, I'm not here to impress anybody else because I love me. The PICC line has helped me a lot. I love this body that I have. I love this soul that I have. I have an amazing soul. I don't know if you've met me or not, but my soul's pretty amazing. So then I just started walking around and doing stuff. And he was just like, does that feel better? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm just saying. So I think we all will occasionally struggle with those things. But if we're heading in a better direction, then we get huge credit for ourselves. And I challenge each and every one of you to start treating yourself with empathy, with compassion, with grace, with forgiveness. That's really where I'm going with this stuff. I really want everybody to start treating themselves as wonderfully, as loving, and as kind as they treat everyone else. Because I think that that's where we've taken the golden rule and we've totally used it as a club to beat ourselves up over. You know, we make sure that we treat everyone else amazing because everybody else counts more than we do. And then when we're home, in the privacy of our own home, we're criticizing and critiquing and beating the hell out of ourselves. That's not effective. That creates shame, and shame creates inflammation, and inflammation creates toxicity, and it's a downward spiral. So the best way to stop some of that is to start treating yourself, even a fraction, even a tenth, an eighth, a fifth, as wonderfully and as loving as you treat everybody else. And I know it's going to create a huge shift for you. Thank you, Aaliyah. I am so excited about the self-love adventure too. It's going to be so much fun. I really have reflected on some of the stuff that I've used to put into place the love and admiration that I'm developing for my body and my soul and my mind and my personality. And I've put that into an adventure for all of you guys. I'll be dropping a link either tonight or tomorrow, sometime soon. But it's definitely been an adventure. Like, I didn't wake up one day and I wasn't like, I think I need to increase my self-love. No, I didn't talk about that shit. And I didn't talk about that shit because it made me uncomfortable. Because I didn't think that was ever going to happen in my life. I was stuck in this body that wasn't healthy, that wasn't thin, that wasn't pretty, that wasn't this ever. But inside of this body is an amazingly powerful soul. And I want to be able to sit here while you guys do a Facebook Live and you talk about how in love with yourself you are and how great you're treating yourself now and how much compassion you're using towards yourself and how much empathy you're using towards yourself. And that will make all of this worth it for me, is when you're sitting in this seat, maybe not in front of this colorful brick wall because it's kind of distracting, but I want you to have that deep and inherent love for yourself. I want you to no longer doubt yourself and judge yourself, and I want you to know that you have enormous worth and huge value. I think that's what this is all about for me, is giving you this gift that I found within myself, that I'm a gift to me. And I hope that through the self-love adventure, you're able to discover the same gift. Not that I'm wonderful for you, but that you're wonderful for you, right? So I got other work to do. Isn't it cute? I gotta go back to work. Thanks for being here. Stay present on Facebook, and I'll be dropping a link, or check out my website. I'm sure it'll be there too, www.jenbovie.com. Thanks, bye.